If I had to summarise what I believed vulnerability to be, I'd say it's bravery, and the world needs brave people.
We have the beginning, middle and end of a book. We have no control over the beginning, we have no control over the end. We have that massive chunk in the middle, and that's where the climax happens. That's where all the really exciting stuff happens.
Hey guys, welcome to Make Way. Today I'm going to be talking all about vulnerability. Now this is a scary word for a lot of people and it can be scary for me as well, even though I'm quite an emotional person when I want to be. But what I'm going to be discussing isn't necessarily telling you to go and cry all the time. What I want to talk about is the necessity behind vulnerability. But within that, keeping it close to you, keeping it something that you can physically feel comfortable doing and steps you can take towards feeling comfortable being vulnerable. But what vulnerability is, in a nutshell, is showcasing how you feel. It's allowing others to see how something affects you and being honest and open about something even when you feel it might be disagreed with by the group or challenged or not respected. If I had to summarise what I believed vulnerability to be, I'd say being vulnerable is bravery, and the world needs brave people. The world needs people that aren't scared to showcase just how much they feel about something, whether it be another person, a cause, an idea, a project. Often when people don't know how to express things, it's because they don't know how someone else is going to take it. It's not because they don't want to tell people how they feel, it's because they don't want to be the reason someone else can't deal with it. Of course, it's amazing that people have that humanity and that humility to feel, I don't want to be responsible for someone else feeling bad or feeling upset or unable to deal with my problem. But at the same time, when we give that person permission to feel how they feel as a result of how we feel, it's a win-win situation, right? Until we have a society where being vulnerable is normal and being vulnerable is acceptable and cared for and understood and appreciated. And I'm not saying that everyone needs to go into floods of tears every time they're upset about something. What I'm saying is until everyone feels at ease being able to showcase their true emotions and their true feelings without the fear of judgment, only then will these issues of feeling repressed and feeling scared to speak up go away. Telling others how you feel, whether it's disagreeing with a project at work or disagreeing with the fact that you should go to university because everyone else is, feeling upset that someone's making a decision about their own life that's going to mean that you have less access to them physically, whatever the decision is, when you get to a stage where your life is going to change as a result of someone else's actions or you having to make a decision based on where your life is going, when you get to that crossroads point, whatever that looks like for you, in order to be truly vulnerable and actually understand and process emotion authentically and truly, often allowing others into that realm and allowing others to understand, even if you just tell one other person, expressing that and giving it out to the world is allowing them, it's giving them permission to empathize with you. If someone else keeps something to themselves about how they're feeling, you know, when you get someone in the room who gets really upset but refuses to tell you why they're upset or says I'm fine, I've done it before. Lots of people do that, and often that's because without them really knowing it, they want someone to keep digging, but they don't feel at ease enough to express it to everyone, so they plant a seed instead. I can guarantee you probably know someone in your life that's done that. They showcase that they're not great, they're not feeling good, and they do it in an environment where there's lots of people to notice, but they won't outwardly say I'm not feeling this, I'm upset. Sometimes it's because right now this is their escape and their moment to just get away from it, but more often than not you will find it's because they don't want to give permission to everyone else to feel the way they feel. They're scared of what reaction they'll get. They're scared of where it could lead or how deeply it could take them into their own emotions. And that's when it starts to build up. And that's where other people start to pry and investigate and get their own thoughts. And other people start creating scenarios and stories that aren't even true. When you're at crossroads, it's an easy time to that's the number one time where you often get lots of influences trying to dictate what happens next for you, trying to tell you which way to go, which course to take. But it's then that your emotions start to unwillingly get all muddled up. That can be the cause of massive overwhelm. That is when you start to inhale so much of everyone else's energy and decisions that you become afraid to be vulnerable because there are so many people that will receive that information. If you think about it realistically, if you had to give back response and energy to every single influence you had in your life to a decision you're trying to make, you would be exhausted, right? So you would refrain from being vulnerable to all of them because it's too much. It's too much to handle if you have lots of voices in your head and lots of people trying to dictate. Problem is, with most of humanity, we don't have control over the response you're going to get. And if you're not 100% certain that those people will be there for you and not try and tell you how to feel when you release that emotion, it's better to protect yourself but still allow yourself to be vulnerable. So find one person. Think of vulnerability and then think of the word verbalize. Once you've said it once, you've shared that problem, you've shared that emotion, you've shared that happiness, you've shared that joy, you've shared that sadness, and you've allowed it to be processed and given out in a way that you feel is controlled. If you then feel ready to express that further, You have that strength and knowledge that the way you have felt has been expressed, and it's been allowed to be expressed, and it isn't going to be controlled because you've given it out there. And once it's out there, it's out there. And of course, as I said, this is all within its own relational context, but overall, when you give something of yourself to someone else, you are giving them permission to engage with who you are fully. And based off their responses, based off the way they handle your emotion, one by one or group by group, that is a massive indicator. That is you giving them a gift of understanding you better, but then you are actually giving yourself permission to understand how much they value your emotions. Because if you give everything out and you cry your heart out to someone, and they don't give you the response that you need, and you don't feel fulfilled from the response that they give you, you can understand exactly what it is that they're not able to provide for you anymore. You can understand that in the future, this person isn't going to have your back, or this person is going to have your back. And then if you want to take it a level deeper, which if you've still got the energy and the means to do so, look deeper and understand where their response came from, what it was that was driving them to feel that way or respond to that way, because they might be envious, they might actually have a better idea for you and never had the chance to tell you, they might have had their own bad experience with what you're trying to choose to do. Whatever their response is, that gives you power to understand the influence they can have on you in the future, and then maybe later on when you're ready, you can take that power and be able to remold the relationship and understand them better. And based off instant responses, you can really start to understand who you've got in your life and what kind of power they have. You probably can think of a book or a movie that you've read or seen where the main character does something with one character but then doesn't tell another character about it. They manipulate who knows what, and the audience is always made aware. Think about yourself in that situation. What are you revealing to other people, and what are you keeping from other people? And from the outside perspective, being you looking at yourself, what is it that you're trying to tell yourself by keeping those distances from people? What is it that you're trying to tell yourself through only sharing particular information with particular people? This is a way for you to put a lens on your own life and look at what you are withholding and what you are giving out, and then you can start to investigate what it is that you're actually giving yourself through doing that. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below or send me an email. This is a topic I'm really passionate about, and really believe can change the world when people start to understand vulnerability as something that isn't scary, or at least doesn't have to be scary. There are ways to deal with it and feel about it and acknowledge it in a way that's actually really empowering, and is a form of giving in its biggest, most juicy, authentic way. Take care and keep on investigating, keep on writing, keep on exploring your own background and feelings and thoughts, and see where you end up.